I get it when a coworker mentions they need a coffee machine that can keep up with a steady stream of espresso-driven meetings. You start wondering if you're about to waste a good chunk of cash on something that either won't keep up or will sit idle most of the day. I've been in that spot more than once, scrolling through endless listings, trying to separate the hype from the real day-to-day value. So before you decide whether the Bunn 35900.0010 BrewWISE commercial coffee brewer is worth that investment, let's break down exactly what it does in a typical office or small cafe environment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question people have is, can this thing actually handle the volume we need without breaking down? The BrewWISE pushes roughly 19 gallons of coffee per hour, which translates to about 158-ounce cups. In practical terms, if you're serving a mid-size office of 3,040 people and everyone grabs a cup during a morning rush, the machine will stay well above the demand curve. That's not just a number on a spec sheet, it means you won't hear the dreaded still brewing alarm while the team waits for the next batch. The digital temperature control is another point that often trips up buyers. Coffee lovers are picky about the brew temperature. Too hot and you get a bitter edge, too cool and the flavor falls flat. With the BrewWISE you set the exact degree you want, and the machine holds it steady throughout the brew cycle. I've seen this feature make a difference in offices where a single hot pot can affect the taste of a whole pot. It also cuts down on the guesswork of just let it run until it looks right, which saves you a few minutes each morning, minutes that add up over weeks. Now, let's talk about how the machine actually fits on a countertop. The large spray head spreads water evenly across the coffee grounds, which helps avoid the common problem of uneven extraction that can give you a weak or overly strong spot in the same pot. The Splashguard funnel is a small but surprisingly useful addition. It keeps the mess confined when you're filling the brew basket, especially if you're refilling multiple times during a busy period. The LCD display is straightforward, no confusing menus, just a clear readout of the current temperature and a quick start/stop indicator. Who should consider buying this? If you run a small CAF that serves a steady flow of regulars, a co-working space where the coffee station is a communal hub, or an office that wants a reliable, hands-off solution for daily service, the BrewWISE hits the sweet spot. Its capacity and temperature precision make it a solid backbone for any setting that needs consistency without the need for a full-scale commercial espresso bar. It's also a good fit for event planners who need to serve coffee at conferences or trade shows where you're pulling a few hundred cups over a few hours. You can set it up on a trailer or a backroom table and let it run while you focus on logistics. On the flip side, if you're a solo freelancer working from a home office, or a boutique coffee shop that relies heavily on specialty espresso drinks, this machine might feel overkill. The BrewWISE is built for volume, not for the nuanced control you get from a dedicated espresso machine with pressure profiling. Also, because it's designed for larger batches, the initial warm-up time is longer than a typical single-serve pod machine. If you need coffee in under a minute for a single person, this isn't the best match. Practical strengths show up when you consider the hidden trade-offs most reviewers skip. The high flow rate means you can brew a full pot while the previous one is still being poured, no dead time. That translates into a smoother rhythm during peak hours. You're not stopping to wait for the machine to finish before you can serve the next customer. The digital temperature control eliminates the need for separate thermometers or trialanderer adjustments, which is a hidden cost saver for places that can't afford wasted coffee due to bad temperature. There are a couple of practical weaknesses worth noting. The machine's footprint is larger than a typical office drip brewer, so you need a dedicated counter space with enough clearance for the Splashguard funnel and the water reservoir. It also draws a decent amount of power, which may be a consideration if you're setting up in a venue with limited outlets. Lastly, while the LCD is clear, it doesn't provide any advanced diagnostics. If something goes wrong, you'll end up on the phone with support rather than having a self-service error code. One scenario that really brings the BrewWISE into focus is a morning sprint in a tech startup. Imagine a 9 a.m. stand-up where every developer grabs a cup, the product team is already meeting over a whiteboard, and the sales crew is reviewing leads. With a traditional drip machine, you'd likely see a line form, someone waiting for the next brew, and a dip in morale.